Yesterday, the Lakers found out that Kevin Durant and 3 other Nets players caught coronavirus. What does this mean for the Los Angeles Lakers, who recently played the Nets? On this day in NBA history, Ricky Davis was fined for attempting his first triple-double by taunting Deshaun Stevenson. Nothing was the same. Drake self-isolates after partying with Kevin Durant in West Hollywood before a coronavirus case. And would you rather be the best player on the worst team or the worst player on the best team? Today's date is March 18, 2020. This is episode 2 of Hoops Daily, available on all your favorite streaming apps and YouTube. And I am your host, Rich Almoyan. Prior talk. Yesterday, the Lakers found out their last opponent, the Brooklyn Nets, have 4 players quarantined after the latest news of coronavirus cases in the NBA. Of course, if you're the Lakers, you're headed straight to quarantine and testing, which is scary considering that the league was approaching a few options to present to the league about the continuation of the league or even, the cancellation of it. The Lakers were having a historic season, no doubt about it. Everyone was locked in. It was almost like these dudes were invincible. Then the coronavirus came in. More and more NBA athletes, are getting tested. But LA is a different story. It's in Los Angeles, it's a different scenario than other cities. The Hollywood Reporter stated that the coronavirus cases in LA County doubled overnight from 50 to the hundreds. It's the largest single-day spike yet. And by the time you hear this podcast or watch this podcast, it has probably increased even more. Well, so what's up for the Lakers? The Lakers need to be professional about this scenario, especially the fact that it's in a county of more than 10 million human beings. Too much. Change it. Lakers management should consider reaching out to Adam Silver and pushing for a later start date. I'm thinking of something between December and August, something they mentioned before. I mean, the NBA had been thinking about this for a while. I think now's the time for it. Canceling the season might be the best option for the Lakers and the league. Right now, both of them are at the same part of their lives. Though this concept may change by tomorrow with the way coronavirus updates occur every 2 seconds. It's evolving. It's a beast of its own. And not many topics have been as quickly as evolving as our Corona talks, which leads us to our next segment, Blast from the Past. Blast from the Past is oriented towards significant events from the past that deem worthy of a highlight. This one particularly remains close to my heart, personally. Well, in 2003, the Cleveland Cavs were seconds away from a 27-point win against the Jazz. This sentence alone is a historic artifact that doesn't really happen often. Ricky Davis, with 26 points, 12 assists, and 9 rebounds, was very cognizant of his statistics that all he needed was 1 rebound away from his first ever triple-double. A triple-double. Triple-double. With 6 seconds left in the game, the Cavs' Jermaine Jones inbounds the ball to Ricky Davis, which should have ended in an uneventful clock run, But Ricky Davis instead threw the ball at the Jazz rim in order to get his rebound. And therefore, try to get her triple-double. Deshaun Stevenson, being the guy with the tattoo of Abraham Lincoln on his neck, decides to retaliate and defended the honor of Jerry Sloan, the most winningest coach to not win it all. So, what did the Cavs do about it? Management fined Davis for his acts against Utah on March 18, 2003, which is today, 17 years ago. And quote, purposely missing a shot at the wrong basket in an attempt to claim the rebound as his 10th was the written agreement as to why they fined him. Now, the league didn't do much about it, but I think it's imperative to note what the Cavs had to say about it. We choose not to discuss team business such as fines in public, said Ed Markey, the spokesman for the Cavs, which clearly at the time they didn't have to. But cameras nowadays would just be all over Ricky Davis, right? So the dude was clearly annoyed by Ricky. So, I don't know. I think Ricky Davis was one of those players in the 2000s that could have easily been an R&B singer. Like, he had the whole thing going for him. He had the bad decisions in his life. I think he was a perfect R&B singer at the time. So, he might be the Trey Songz of the NBA. Who knows? Which leads us to the next topic, Talk of the Town. Talk of the Town is geared towards interesting topics that may arise today. Drake joins the NBA somehow again in self-isolation after partying with the corona-infected Kevin Durant. So, Canada has officially entered the chat. According to sources, Drake is self-isolating at home in Toronto after attending the Lakers-Nets game in Los Angeles and partying with Kevin Durant just before the nasty coronavirus took over. KD and Drake were kicking it in West Hollywood, with Drake posting a photo about their night. I like to call it Corona Chronicles. Oh, and Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, has closed his borders with the U.S. to mitigate the spread of the Rona, the dirty, dirty Rona, which means Drake will stay away from the NBA for at least 2 weeks, which for some of you, you're probably throwing a parade wherever you are because you hate to see Drake in NBA media. But for others, NBA and hip-hop kind of go hand in hand. Honestly, man, I feel like Drake is going to come out with some stupid fire. I mean, the dude is going to be drowned in his thoughts, which is essentially what Drake is the best at, while thinking, how did I get here? Why did I do this? I should have never drank with KD. Or like whatever monotone he sings, or like, just hold on with quarantine. Or like, all I imagine is Majid Jordan or Mahid Jordan or whatever you guys want to call him, quarantine from the other side of the wall and sing. Let's head over to our next subject. Would you rather? Would you rather be the best player on the worst team or the worst player on the best team? Well, I ask this question a lot to people who interview me just to throw a curveball at them. But this is a legit question, right? Even in real life. I mean, it all depends where you are in your life and, where you are in your career. So let's look at some factors. Is there room to grow on the basketball squad? Do you have the resources to excel? And is the management in the right direction? And of course, the last question is how many millions of dollars are you getting paid to put the basketball in a hoop? Ugh. So if they don't, and you happen to be in that situation, fuck it. Get your buckets, my dude or dudette. If you're in the scenario of a New York Knicks kind of situation where executive decision making is on par with a degree from University of Phoenix online bullshit, then get your buckets. Get your stats up. Make it a seller to then hop on a winning team and build it from there. Why does my voice sound like Jerry Seinfeld? I'm not sure. Personally, I'd rather be the worst player on the best team. I experienced this early stages of my high school when I transferred over from a team to another team and I ended up being not so great. And later in FIBA, which is the same exact scenario, except my first year, everyone was speaking Russian. I didn't understand shit. So you do your time for a year, then you learn and you build off from it. Next thing you know, you become the most improved player, which is a nicer thing than a ring chaser. So, I mean, a lot of people disagree with me on this, right? My basketball background is a little different. It was high school straight to FIBA, which is unorthodox in its way. But you do get to go through the motions of being the worst player on the best team and being the best player on the worst team, and it's really difficult psychologically being able to adapt. Very different scenarios. They're two polar opposites that could be life changing or career changing for some. So, do you agree or disagree? And that does it for today's episode of Hoops Daily. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast. Don't forget to let us know if you have some thoughts about today's topics. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Hoops Daily on your favorite streaming app. This was your daily host, Rich Almoy, logging out from Los Angeles, California. Bow!